Hello, May class, and welcome to your next maths lesson. To the previous lessons, we've been looking at tenths, we've been looking at counting up and down in tenths, and we've been looking at the fact that 10 tenths is a whole. So we're going to continue looking at fractions today. And today we are going to be looking at recognizing what an equivalent fraction is. So before we get to that, we're going to do our arithmetic. So pause the video now and make sure you have numbers 1 to 10 and answer the following questions. 8 times 8. What is half of 320? What is 268 as a Roman numeral? What number is next in the sequence? So we have 12, 18, 24, and 30. What is 7 times 7? What is 40 divided by 8? What is a tenth of 20? What is 1,340 plus 1,527? What is 8,549 minus 2,344? What is 24 divided by 8? So pause the video now and answer those questions. Okay, as mentioned, we're going to be looking at what an equivalent fraction is. So I want you to say that with me. Equivalent fraction. Equivalent fraction. And you may notice that it sounds like the word equal, and that is important. That's something I want you to remember, what the word equal means. Right, so having a look at these shapes, I want you to quickly jot down what you think the fraction of each shape is. The fraction that has been shaded in each one, what do you think it is? So pause the video now and give that a think, and then I will go through that with you. Right, so in the first one, this one here, we can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it is out of 10 because it is 10 equal pieces, of which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is colored in. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So again, this one is out of 10, of which 1, 2, 3, 4 are colored in. This one says we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, it's tenths, of which 2 are colored in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, of which 1 is colored in. And the last shape, we can see there's 3 colored in there. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 3 tenths. You can see that all these numbers are showing you tenths because the shapes have been split into 10 equal pieces, regardless of the kind of shape it is. And then obviously the colored in parts are the parts of the tenths that are colored in. So we've got 3 there, 4, 5, 2 tenths, and 1 tenth in those ones. So as mentioned, I want you to give it a think. What do you think the word equivalent means? What does the word equivalent mean? So the term equivalent means equal in value. And remember at the beginning, I said to you the word equal, something to think about. Equivalent, equal. So we're looking at something that is equal in value, which means they are the same in value. So in school, we would use these to help us understand equivalent fractions. And I have a few on my board that I'm going to show you now. So let me just move so you can see them. On my board, I have something very similar. to these Cuisenaire rods that we would use. And then to show you the idea of an equivalent fraction, right at the top here, you can see that I have this brown shape, and it is showing me one whole. Okay, it is in one piece, so that is my whole, and that is going to go at the very top of my fraction wall. Underneath it is the purple one. You can see there's purple here, and actually this is broken up into two halves. But if we put it together, so we can see we've got one half there. Okay, we can see that there's a half missing. So this is the second half, and two halves are the same length as one whole. Right, so the fraction wall looks a little bit like this, although I have got different colors. I've got my whole at the top here. I've got my two halves, and then I've got thirds. So it's broken up into three equal pieces. So you can see 1, 2, 3. Then my red ones are the same as the blue ones there. They're broken up into 4 equal pieces that make up a whole. So 4 quarters makes up a whole. I'm going to put it there so you can see. 3, 4. So 4 quarters makes up my whole. I've just swapped them around, and there's a very good reason why. So you can see this fraction wall goes all the way down to 12ths. And I think mine goes down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So my little green one that you can just see at the bottom there is actually, if I move it back, you can maybe see a bit more. That is, this here is 1/12. So why do you think this is important? The one thing I want you to notice in my fraction wall is that they are all the same amount. They all equal one whole. So here is a fraction, and I'm going to move these so that you can see the one that is on the board a little bit clearer. Remember this one at the top, our grey one, our brown one, so you can see it. Our brown one here is actually showing you a whole. I'm just going to stop sharing so you can see. This is a whole. Move it up a little bit. Then we have two halves. Okay, our two halves. And underneath, I've taken away the thirds, but I have left my quarters there. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when we say equivalent, it means that the fraction is the same. And if you've been looking at the fraction wall, you may notice that if I take away 2 quarters, okay, it is the same as taking away 1/2. It is the exact same amount, but the quarters is made up of 2 quarters, then it is a half over here. Put them back for a second. So if we go back to the screen that we were looking at, you can see that the half of a whole would be one of these pieces, and then 2 quarters, like we've just seen, is the same length, the same amount as 1/2. So 2 quarters is equal to 1/2. And we can say that half is an equivalent fraction to 2 quarters. It is the same amount. They show you the same amount, even though this is made up of 2 pieces and this is made up of 1. They are the same amount because our whole has been broken up into 1, and then our whole has been broken up into 2. So, having a look at your fraction wall, I want you to think, how many equivalent fractions can you find? Now, an easy way to do this is to run a ruler down the lines that you have. See if I can draw a ruler for you. Draw a straight line. So if we start with our half, and I'm going to do it in a bright white color. Okay. If I go down like that, okay, what fractions does it not cut through? Okay, so I can see that a half is the same as 2/4, because there is my shape. You can see there's my line. It is the same as 2/4. It's the same as 3/6. It's the same as 4/8, 5/10. So have a look at different, have a look, and remember that it has to be the same amount. So if I'm looking at my fraction wall in front of me, I have got that 2/4 are the same as 1/2. If I look here, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I look and I say 1, 2, 3, oh, that's the same amount. That one's a bit over. Let me just move it over a little bit. Okay, that is the same amount. There's 3/6. You may say to me, what about this orange one? Well, this orange one has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in it. But I can see that if I have 2, this one is going to be too big to put here. So 2/5 is not going to be equal to 1/2. So it has to be equal. And you'll notice I've got 1/2, 2/4, 3/6. We can try, let's try this one. I'm going to move all of these so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's my 8s. Let's see if the 8s fits. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one also fits. So have a look and see if you can match up and find equivalent fractions with using your fraction wall. So I'm just going to zoom out so you can have a look. So pause the video here and see if you can find equivalent fractions. And the way you're going to then write them out is the following. You're going to write, so for example, if I said, get my pen, 1/2 is equal to, and the very first one we looked at was 2/4. So I'm going to say 2/4. And then I can just make a list of what else is equal to 2/4 or 1/2. I can also then say 3/6 is the same as 1/2. And if I look at my fraction wall again, I can say that 4/8. So 4 out of the 8 is the same as 1/2. So how many equivalent fractions, and they don't necessarily have to equal 1/2. Are there some that equal 1/3? Are there some that equal 1/4? So pause the video now and see how many equivalent fractions you can write down. So your independent task today has to do with equivalent fractions. Compare these fractions or complete these equivalent fractions. So just like I did in the previous slide, these are going to be equal to each other. You can already see with this one, we've got 2 parts that make up a whole. So we've got 1/2, and this green bit shows you 1/2. And then this one here is broken up into 8 equal pieces, which means this is showing you eighths, okay, of which 1, 2, 3, 4 are colored in. So tell me now, what would that fraction be? Because it is equal to 1/2. Have a look at B and help me work that one out, and then have a look at C. Once you have done that, have a look at this one. So you will draw the fractions the numbers on the one side over here, and you will draw these fractions on the other side, working out what each one is. So if I counted here, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it is eighths, and there's 2 colored in. So you would do it like that, and then you would match them with equivalent fractions. So what fractions over here would equal this one? Maybe what you want to do is break them up into slightly bigger pieces. So for example, 2/8 is if it is broken up into 8, but if I had to break it up into 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I can see it can be equal to 4 equal bits. And out of those 4 equal bits, if that was 1/4, and 1/4 would equal 2/8. So see if you can complete these ones, making sure to match them up with their equivalent fractions. If you have a fraction wall, you can go back, pause the video, go back to the fraction wall and see which ones are equal. And then our final task is this one. This bar model represents 3/4. Now, which bar model below could be used to show a fraction that is equivalent, which means it is equal to 3/4? And then you need to shade the bar model, so color in the bar model that shows you that it is equal to 3/4. Don't forget to share your work with us on Tapestry. Please make sure to have it all up by 4 o'clock. And also make sure that when you are drawing your shapes that you are using a ruler, please.